As we all know, life often throws a few curves. We're sometimes caught off guard by the unexpected challenges that come our way. And it's precisely at these times that we need family. Our faith tells us that we are not alone and that we travel together with our God through difficult times. I'm pleased to announce that Telecare is presenting a new series called Family Comes First. It's brought to you by Vincent J. Russo and Associates. In this series, we'll be affirming that family is the answer no matter the situation. Vincent J. Russo, a locally and nationally acclaimed authority and advocate in elder care, estate planning, and special needs, will be joined by co-host Kim Burke of Long Island's K-Joy Radio. This four-part series will focus on real families in very real situations. Their stories will warm our hearts and help us to better understand in everyday language what we should be doing now and how to be prepared for the future. My hope is that this show develops the commandment to honor our mother and our fathers. I'm very pleased to welcome Vincent J. Russo, Kim Burke, and Family Comes First to our Telecare family. Stay tuned, and God bless.
My son Peter take care very well, my husband and me.
Kara and I are very grateful to be able to tell our story.
It's important to get help. It happened to me.
And we hope that telling my story has an impact on somebody watching.
Family Comes First provides an opportunity for families to share their stories, which will inspire and how to meet the challenges in day-to-day life.
Welcome everyone to Family Comes First. I'm Kim Burke.
And I'm Vincent J. Russo. Every day medical research is teaching us more and more about arthritis and its effects on people of all ages. The common notion that this disease only begins to affect us in our senior years is a fallacy. We all know someone, and that someone could be ourselves, who suffers from some form of arthritis. My father-in-law did, my wife now does. Wow. There are over 170 types of arthritis.
That's true, Vincent. There are, and statistics are showing us that no matter the form or the prognosis, arthritis is one of our nation's most prevalent chronic health problems and the leading cause of disability among Americans over age 15. There are over 46 million Americans affected.
Say that again, 46 million?
46 million Americans affected with arthritis in one form or another. 1 in 5 adults, basically, is what it comes out to. Getting the facts and dispelling the myths is the first step in helping someone who is suffering from the disease.
Wow. With us today is Patricia Brasley, Executive Vice President of the Arthritis Foundation, Long Island Chapter. As a member of its Board of Directors, I've had the privilege of working closely with her. It's great to have you with us, Pat.
Well, thank you. It's been a privilege to work with both of you.
We look forward to hearing about all the good work of the Arthritis Foundation. But first, in our materials, one of the most compelling stories among your thousands of clients is the story of Mark Haubner,
yes,
with whom we will be visiting in our family room shortly. But first, we have a few questions for you.
Sure.
Now, Pat, can you share with us, because I know you've been with the Arthritis Foundation for a long time, you've been there a while, and now you've accepted the position of Vice President. So tell us a little bit about when you first started and how it is now, how things have changed.
Well, when I first started, which was 20 years ago, I came into the Arthritis Foundation as its program director, which meant I did programs in the community for people with arthritis. Very shortly after, my son became a victim of arthritis, my daughter and myself. So I always said, somebody put me in the right place at the right time.
Yep.
I'd say probably the biggest change I've seen in those years is the new treatments and new medications that have made such a difference in the lives of people with arthritis.
Is it your family? Is that the reason that you decided to become more involved with the Arthritis Foundation?
Definitely. I always say it's not just my profession, it's my passion.
You have such a special connection to the community. What drives you, and tell us about it.
I think when you go out and see the people who are affected and see how their families are affected also, that you can't help but feel that you will do anything in your power to help them. Because anyone who has a chronic illness, as you both know, that illness is with them forever. And it does affect not only them, but their family members, their extended family members, and their friends. So it's an area that you really need to get a lot of resources and a lot of support.
And there's so many misconceptions.
Oh, yes.
You know, so many people, oh, it's an old person's disease.
Right.
What are people complaining about? Have an aspirin, whatever. What are the trends that we're seeing? What are the ages, too? It's not, it's getting younger and younger. Some younger kids have that.
Well, there's, with 170 different types, that essentially there are two main types. One is the osteoarthritis, which if we all hang around long enough, we're going to get a little bit of that. And the other is an autoimmune type, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, JRA. That's the type that affects young people, infants, toddlers, teenagers, and young adults can be affected by this arthritis. It can be very aggressive, and it can not only take their health, but everything else in their life. They can be left unemployable. Families can be devastated by these illnesses because they're very, very severe.
Give us a sense of the benefits that the foundation can offer.
Yeah. Our thrust in our war, if you want, that's what I say. Our war against arthritis is two-pronged. We do education and services for those affected already, and that includes family members. We do education and services for professionals and healthcare people who take care of people with arthritis. And we raise money to fund research, because that's what's going to take us to finding the cause and then the cure. So it's to me, a very comprehensive two-prong approach.
So there's two levels here with the foundation, the research that's being done, and also the community outreach.
Correct, yeah.
450,000 Long Islanders. There's a lot of outreaching you have to do.
It's a big job. We have a very big job. A small staff and a big job, but that's where people like Vincent Russo and his firm, and yourself, even Kim, in helping us in various events, come into play with our agency, because we have to rely upon your resources and your help, and we have teachers and moms and dads and professionals. All of those people volunteer with our agency, and that's what enables us to bring our services to people.
I'm sure we have thousands of viewers, right? Thousands of viewers.
Hundreds of thousands.
Watching who have arthritis.
Yes.
Can you give us some practical advice for them?
Yeah. That's essentially what a major portion of our education programs, that's what it deals with. How to become your own lifestyle and healthcare self-manager. And we have courses, and they teach you actually how to work around whatever type of disability you may have to make your everyday life easier. So what I would suggest to anyone out there who has arthritis is pick up the phone, call us. We'll give you the location of an exercise course. We'll give you the location of exercises in the pool. We'll give you locations of support groups. We'll give you locations of programs and of self-help courses. Just pick it up and call. We love to hear from you. We love to help you.
And what about research, the future? What are we looking at right now in arthritis? Are we any closer?
Oh, this is probably the most exciting time in medical and arthritis research, because we have scientists that, incidentally, we funded through the Arthritis Foundation. One of them is right here on Long Island, on the North Shore, who is their world experts in gene research. It's big fancier names than that. I call it gene research, where they have actually identified the genetic material that the people who develop the inflammatory types of arthritis, like rheumatoid, in people. So what does that mean? That means that he can now, he's already developed this test in a child through a simple blood work, see if they have that genetic material, if they are at risk for developing this type of disease. So what does that mean down the road for treatment? And it's a short road now. You may not necessarily have a cure, but you may have a vaccine. We don't have a cure for polio, but we have a vaccine.
Absolutely.
So that's the type of research that's very, very exciting.
Yes,
We're close.
Absolutely. A nice time to be into
It's
the
very
research
exciting.
field. Absolutely.
Very, very exciting.
Thank you, Pat, for joining us, and continued great success and leaps and bounds again
Well,
with the
thank you.
Arthritis Foundation.
Before our visit with Mark Haubner in our family room, we have an advanced clip about his compelling story, as well as an important message and interview with Patrick McAsey, president of the Arthritis Foundation Long Island chapter.
Well, the Arthritis Foundation was formed actually 60 years ago this year, so it's our 60th anniversary, but the Arthritis Foundation was really formed because of the huge problem dealing with arthritis. Right now there's over 400,000 people just on Long Island who are affected by arthritis, and the total cost nationwide is over $128 billion a year.
The limitations of the disease are huge, and you don't really realize it until you see somebody ice skating and say, gee, I'd like to do that, and all of a sudden you realize, I used to do that. And it's not just ice skating, it was skiing and hiking and running motorcycles and fixing engines in the street and cars, and I don't like going over that list too much, because you don't want to dwell on the things you can't do.
Indeed, I think a family support system really is vital. I've seen parents who have gotten divorced because their child has arthritis and one parent just can't deal with that. I've seen husbands leaving wives because they can't deal with the up and down nature of arthritis. So it really can be very devastating and much more difficult to cope with without an understanding family situation.
Looking to your family. Try not to burden them at the same time. I don't want to be a chronic complainer. That's no good. Relying on friends, a sympathetic ear, talking to strangers. Unload it on somebody else. Can't do anything for you, but they could listen. Contacting the foundation was a wonderful thing. Getting involved, doing something positive, doing something constructive.
We have a large number of different programs that we offer right now. We have exercise programs, both land and pool exercise programs. We have self-help courses. We're just beginning Tai Chi exercise programs. But most importantly, I think we just have factual information. There's a lot of disinformation and misinformation about arthritis, and we're able to provide brochures, videotapes, lectures, and so forth to be able to give people the real facts about arthritis.
The phrase, let go, let God, worked for me even last week. It was very interesting. We were talking about illness in the family, deaths in the family, and I said to my wife, I said, it's one of those things, it's going to happen. If you brace yourself, you're going to get hurt, just like being in a car accident. When you relax into it and let it happen, whether it's good or bad, I just needed to get involved because I could do something. I was given empowerment. The Arthritis Foundation, the people there, have given me something to do that seems worthwhile and seems to be working. I could do this. I can do this today.
Welcome to our family room, where we are now joined by Mark Haubner, who needs no introduction after that clip. Good to have you with us, Mark.
Thank you, Vincent.
The clip was, just, I think, the tip of the iceberg in showing what it's like for someone with arthritis. And I'd like to start with asking you, how has it impacted your life? And I know that's a big question.
Yeah, it's a huge question. I know we don't have enough time for all that, but I don't know if you've ever stepped on the brakes really hard in your car and everything slides off the seats onto the floor. That was my life, because we had come to a screeching halt. Everything that I'd been doing up to that point had stopped immediately within a matter of months. And the life changes after that had to be conscious and with effort and mindfulness and hope and faith and everything else that goes into getting through a family calamity.
And how old were you, Mark, when we started going through the operations and you got diagnosed?
Yeah, the diagnosis came first. I was 44. So I was in the middle of the...
That's so young.
Yeah,
most people don't realize that there are younger people with arthritis.
Well, there's little kids with it. I didn't know that either until we went to one of the summits in Washington, and they were 5- and 8-year-olds, and it's good to keep company with people who are worse off because it makes you feel really good. But they are certainly worse off, but there's so much being done that it's helping them, and their attitudes, it's amazing. Yeah. Especially the kids.
Yeah, especially, I think kids adjust a lot better sometimes than adults do. It's like they take everything in stride. Well, this is life.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's tougher. So how did you adjust? Was it easy to take it in stride when you first heard the diagnosis and then you realized, well, this is more than just a diagnosis. I'm going to go through all these surgeries. How did you react to all of that?
With any kind of illness or death in the family, of course, you deny it, that you're that sick or any kind of sick. So that went on for a long time. That went on for years. I had so much trouble even at the beginning, in the first 3 or 4 or 5 years, before I could even say when I got sick. I always was referring to it as when I got hurt. Because it was so painful. All this was just pain, pain, pain. Right. And operations and fix this and fix that. And it was more of an injury, a sports injury in my mind before I realized this is a disease. So,
what amazes me is your spirit. In your vocabulary, there are no do-nots and can-nots.
Oh, that drives me nuts at home.
Where did this inner strength come from?
That's got to go back to my mother, who was a single parent, my grandmother, who was divorced when her children had polio at the same time as something else that was a quarantinable disease. It goes back to my great-grandmother, who had come over from her own country at 7 years old, alone on the boat. So you got to look. You got to look to your history as far as that's concerned.
Family.
Yeah,
the
family. Of course.
It also seems like you're gaining strength from your wife and your daughter at the same time that you're giving them strength.
Yeah, it's perpetuating. Any negativity is self-perpetuating, and so is positivity. And once you get that upward spiral going, then that's when the day is going better and your life is moving along more smoothly.
Now, you were an athlete doing a whole number of different skiing, I think, was one of your favorite activities. And so I know this is tough to ask the question, emotionally and psychologically, when you realize you could not do those kinds of things that all of us take for granted, activities of daily living, and how did you deal with that?
Well, you got to cut them out one at a time. Obviously, you're not going to stop everything all at once, and you're going to try things you shouldn't too.
Like? There's obviously an example going on in your head.
Coming right up, the playing softball with my nephew and his friends and his cousins last summer. The Bionic Man goes out there with his $600,000 worth of parts and shows him how to swing that bat. And wound up on the ground with the EMTs walking almost a quarter mile to pull me out of the backfield. So we've got to realize our limitations as they come along.
It's time for us, I think, at the break here, for a reflection by Monsignor McNamara.
Monsignor Jim McNamara, and I invite you to join me in this moment of reflection. Jesus once said, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you could say to this mountain, be moved into the sea, and it would be moved. Jesus made it clear that faith has great power. He commended the centurion because he simply trusted that a word from Christ would heal his servant. He told Jairus, after they reported his daughter had died, fear is useless. What is needed is trust. Consistently, Jesus asks us for a faith that's involved with trust and self-abandonment. It's easy for us to shrink back into fear. For a man like Mark, it takes great determination and faith just to get up in the morning and to face each task as a challenge. And so we can learn from him. His witness gives us witness not to presume upon life or to be lazy or to take our health for granted. We can be uncomfortable around people who are disabled or chronically ill because they remind us of our vulnerability. They remind us to surrender to God and to trust in Him here and now. This is the basis also of gratitude.
Family Comes First is based on the belief that family is the driving force behind, well, living. So your wife, Kathy, and your daughter, Megan, have been very important parts of your life, obviously, and just meeting them briefly is amazing. So now we're going to share your family with everybody else. Let's watch a few moments with Kathy and Megan.
Before the arthritis, he'd go into the city. He enjoys New York City tremendously. He loves the theater, he loves the city. He can't do the steps. A simple thing as you would even give it a thought of climbing steps, going to the trains, going on job interviews, all of that he no longer can do because of the arthritis. Who would think? I mean, I never gave it a thought that concrete could hurt your knees, hurt your legs, and yet he finds it very severe.
What my dad did was he was very, very positive about the whole entire experience, about us and, you know, him having arthritis and it affecting our whole family. But he was very positive about everything, and everything was like, it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay, nothing's a big deal, you'll be all right.
He never complains. Never complains. Just does what he does. And I think as a result, that's why we all do what we do.
My mom is awesome. I love my mom. She is the breadwinner. She's the homemaker. She's everything because, you know, she's a very strong woman and she's an awesome person to look up to.
It's very hard for me to see him stand at the door when I'm going out to work in the morning because he's like just sitting. I know he wants to go, yet he can't go. And sometimes I'm like, I can't wait to go. See ya. I'm gone. But I mean, it's hard. I mean, I can't believe. And then of course there are days where I don't want to go. I want to stay home. Let me stay home and be Mr. Mom today. But that doesn't happen. Insurance plays a big role in our life as far as my job. Life before, I didn't even think about insurance. I mean, I just went to work part-time, worked when I wanted to, and that has drastically changed as a result of Mark not having medical, and I do have to have medical. So even though I would like to change jobs, I don't, because I know what I have, and I don't know what I'm going to get.
We call my dad the Bionic Man because when I was little, I watched a TV show and it had, like, you know, the Bionic Man. It was like an action show or whatever, and it was just, you know, all metal, this whole, like, metal guy, like, busting around, like, action hero kind of thing, and that was my dad for me because I was Daddy's little girl. And he had his shoulders and his hips done and his knees done, so I was like, you're like the Bionic Man.
For giving advice to somebody, there are agencies out there like the Arthritis Foundation and friends. I've been blessed with wonderful friends and a great family, and they're the ones that if we need anything, they're there for us.
The more positive you put everything into aspect, like your life and how you put that into aspect for yourself and towards your family, is a really big factor for everything, and that's what's important, and your family should always come first.
Mark, your family is the true essence of what life is all about. And I know there are many challenges that lie ahead for the future. Can you talk about those challenges and what planning are you doing?
The big thing is most of the time you get sick and retire, or you retire and then get sick and you're 65 or 70. Mm-hmm. This all started, my if you want to call it a forced retirement, started at 44. Oh. And you think you're going to last another 40 years. Now you got to think about really what you've got to do to make that stretch. Mm. So it's a matter of making sure that all the T's are crossed and your I's are dotted, making sure that the deeds are in place, your will, the living will, all the things that you never think you're going to need, get it done before you need it.
It lifts a burden off of them as well. You know, sometimes making that decision for someone else is heartbreaking and you feel guilt, and sometimes you make a decision out of a misplaced sense of love or loyalty to somebody. So,
and it's not only the legal planning, but it's also the financial planning, which I'm sure you had to, just address right up front to figure out, well, how am I going to be able to make this work for myself, my wife, and my family?
No, it's a constant struggle, and especially with, and I've heard the story from other people involved with the telecare situation here, that they've got to deal with these things, staying in a job too long or being involved with certain things that they need to extract themselves from or move on when it's not comfortable, and there's an awful lot of that. There really is.
Mark, how did you get involved with the Arthritis Foundation in the first place?
My mother had been trying to take care of her mother, my grandmother, and that my grandmother had a terrible case of osteo early on that she wouldn't recognize, that she wouldn't go to the doctor for, and one more Bayer aspirin a day wasn't going to hurt anything. So that's what she was on, and my mother got involved. Well, look, Mom, look at all these pamphlets. Look what you've got. And my grandmother shut her down really hard. So by this time, my mother, of course, had discovered that she had it as well. So now she's involved and she's got it. So that's watching her for all these years, driving down to Kennedy Airport and picking up 1,000 roses and driving around to people for a particular event that they were having or whatever have you. She was on the self-help program on TV. She'd done programs for them. We did the telethon together?
Telethon?
Yes,
Great.
we were on telethon together, and that's where I really got involved and excited. And then pretty soon, of course, I'm there as well. So now we're looking at continuing that. Hopefully that Megan will stay involved and do as much as she's been doing and more.
So it helps your family as well. It obviously helps you, but your family being involved with the Arthritis Foundation.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The support is there, and we're always at the same places together, and it's a generational thing.
That is great. Mark, give us some pearls of wisdom for those, you can do it, for those who are just facing for the first time arthritis, and now there's an impact on their lives. What can you tell them?
Call the Arthritis Foundation, get some pamphlets, get some brochures, read up on it, get involved with a program that's going to help limber you up, at least, to get through the day.
Right.
Get a regular routine. Don't just lay in bed wondering how you're going to handle all your problems. Just get up and get started. Really, that's the thing.
Thank you so much, Mark, for sharing your inspirational story, and for your family. Kathy and Megan, they were just wonderful in sharing their story of you and your family. And also I want to thank the Arthritis Foundation Long Island chapter with Pat McAsey and Patricia Brasley of the foundation. Family truly does come first.
Indeed.
Now for a break. At Vincent J. Russo and Associates, our experience is your protection.
Life is getting more complicated with issues like the high cost of long-term care, Medicaid eligibility, accessing home care, and the protection of your life savings.
The staff is terrific. I had some problems with real estate, a warranty deed in another state, and the legal assistant went out of her way to help me to get what I needed.
If I had to think of one thing that really would summarize the whole experience with Mr. Russo and his team, it would be peace of mind.
Because we've set everything up, I can concentrate on what's most important, the good and welfare of the people I love, and know that everything's in place.
Long-term care can be costly. At my law firm, we will provide you with solutions.
Please contact any of the following offices to schedule a consultation by phone or in person. We know the options. We can help.
Today we were graciously invited into the life of a man who is truly remarkable. His spirit is an inspiration despite his battle with osteoarthritis. With God and his family at his side as his strength and his support, he's ready to conquer any obstacles. As we learned today, don'ts and cannots are not part of Mark's vocabulary.
Absolutely, Kim. Mark Haubner's story is a definite eye-opener. Mark is truly a role model for all of us, and we are grateful to the Arthritis Foundation Long Island chapter for all that they do to help those with arthritis and their families. If you have any questions or would like more information, please visit www.arthritis.org and www.vjrussolaw.com. Have a great day, Kim.
Have a great day, Vincent. And thank you for joining us. Remember, family truly does come first.
My son Peter take care very well my husband and me.
Kiara and I are very grateful to be able to tell our story.
It's important to get help. It happened to me.
And we hope that telling my story has an impact on somebody watching.
Family Comes First provides an opportunity for families to share their stories, which will inspire and how to meet the challenges in day-to-day life.